These are my contacts. If you would like to play in contact with me, you can send mail or visit my website. The title of our presentation is Controlled Bone Regeneration, HBR, Biological Strategies and Complication Prevention. I prepared several topics that are needed in order to effort HBR. First, what does severe bone defect mean? There is a big confusion relating severe bone defect. Each one of them has a proper idea. Severe regeneration more 6 millimeters, severe 10 millimeters, severe 3 millimeters, severe a combination between horizontal and vertical bone regeneration, or severe in the dentulous posterior lower jaw, or in the inferior upper jaw, or in combination with the sinus flow. Each one of them, of you, have different idea relating the severe. Instead, it's very important to know what does mean severe, because you can burn yourself in the correct strategies for the effort, the complicated case. Then, are severe bone defects divided into more or less complex ones? And so I will try to show you that some cases that probably you could consider less severe of others, instead are more complicated under the surgical approach, or cases in which the complication under the technical point of view is less than the difficulty in the biological point of view. Probably we can perform technically a good surgery relating HBR, but biologically the regeneration of the bone is very difficult. Then we will speak relating one or two stages GBR procedure. There is a big discussion relating which is of these two procedures the more indicated. Then, when after the GBR, the implants should be activated. Another important question, because we have defined the correct timing in order to avoid the absorption of the bone. In order to work on the regenerative bone, when the bone got the ideal maturation, and there is a precise time. Then we will discuss relating these three different devices or barrier: the titanium reinforced absorbable membrane, customized adhesive meshes, and absorbable membrane. And we analyze which is the ideal association between the device and the type of defect. And the last one is a soft tissue management necessary another important topic that is mandatory in order to guarantee a good prognosis of our implants placed in the regenerating bone, but placed also in the native bone. Is not important the bone is regenerating or not. But if we want to obtain, to get an ideal soft tissue stability around the implants, we have to restore the spatiality of the soft tissues around them. Because after the GBR, we lose completely the original spatiality. The mucogingival line is moved lingually or palatally. And then we lose completely or part of keratinized tissue band. And then we lose totally the depth of the fornix. And if we don't restore this anatomical spatiality of the soft tissue around the implants, the risk is to have complication after the GBR, as a periimplantitis. What does severe bone defect mean? We have to evaluate this question relating biological and technical point of view. We cannot consider a defect in general way. There are aspects that deter or rules the bone generation that are jointed to the biology, and the other that are jointed to the technical point of view, because the expression of the GBR is very difficult relating the site in which we are performing the GBR. Before starting with the definition of this type of defect, we have to consider that it is a common accepted concept that a standard implant is considered an implant that measures equal or major than 8 millimeters. It means that if we have at disposal at least 8 millimeters in order a standard implant, it means that we don't have defect. Or that the defect is not such important in order to avoid the insertion of standard implant. And then the quota of bone is between 6 and 8 millimeters. We have to use a short implant. In this category, we can speak of bone defect. And for that, we have to use short implant. It means that sometimes we can avoid to regenerate the bone, because with a short implant, we can solve the problem of the missing teeth. But in any case, it's considered defect, bone defect. And for that, we received from the companies the proposal of this type of device, short implants. Sometimes the bone is more reduced, and in alternative to the GBR procedure, we can use an ultra-short implant when the length of the implant is minor of 6 millimeters. But we are relating vertical bone defect. We could have another type of defect, the horizontal bone defect. And for that, we have other type of devices that can solve the problem of the missing bone needed for the insertion of the standard implant. Today, the standard implant is considered at 3.5 millimeters. When we don't have sufficient bone in order to place 3.5 millimeters, it means that we have a bone defect. And for that we have to reduce the diameter of the implant or regenerate the bone. And for that we have other type of implants like 3 millimeters diameter, 2.5 millimeters diameter, or another recent type of implants, the implant that are implants that are placed in a very narrow and for them the preparation of the osteotomies is performed not with the conventional drill but with a piezoelectric instrument. We said that we have to divide the evaluation of the bone defect according biological and technical point of view. Biological aspect is ruled from the loss of the alveolar bone. Why it's important? Because we know that in the alveolar bone is contained the major part of the cancellous bone. And the cancellous bone is mandatory in GBR because it promotes the osteogenetic processes. In the cancellous bone there is the main quota of vessels. In the cancellous bone, we have the indifferentiated substance that are needed to promote the regeneration. If we lose the alveolar bone, we lose the main factors relating the activation of the osteogenetic processes. Then the biological aspect depends on the limited vascularization. And we know that between, for example, the upper and the lower jaw, there is a significant difference in terms of vascularization. The upper jaw is already well vascularized. The lower jaw, so when we detach the flaps in the lower jaw, often we observe the white bone. Sometimes we try to perforate the bone, but we don't have bleeding. Because the cortical layer is very thick, and the cancellous bone is poor. But then we will see that the booster of the bone regeneration is the revascularization of the site. But if we don't have vascularization, the potentiality of the oxygenating processes down. When the absorption of the bone is severe, we lose just completely or completely the alveolar bone. And we lose the cancellous bone. And the cancellous bone, I said that is mandatory. Its presence is mandatory in order to have a high potentiality of the bone generation. So often when we look at a site, a surgical site, we analyze the surgical site relating its dimension. If we have a bigger concavity because we lost a lot of bone, we think that this case is difficult. That is not correct. Because the same shape of the big defect can have a complete different potentiality in the bone generation. And the difference between the upper and the lower jaw is incredible. In the lower jaw, regeneration of the bone is very difficult. Because we have a few portion, a few quantity of cancellous bone, because we have a poor vascularization, because we have a thick cortical layer of the residual bone. And all condition reduces the osteogenic potentiality. And then we have the clinical and technical aspect. Sometimes one of the main difficulties is the construction of the castle that protects the biomaterial. The defect is such big that the definition of the shape of the membrane or the device is very complicated, or the fixing of this device, because you know that if we wanted to regenerate the bone, our device has been fixed always in all its border, on the buccal, on the lingual, crystalline, on the profile of the device, in everywhere, because we have to isolate the competition from the connective tissues. We have to create a well-isolated environment, inside which we have only one type of cells, the osteoblast cells, because this is the main or the key of the GBR, the main factor of the success of the GBR. Then, always under the technical point of view, is the gain of the ideal quantity of tissues in order to cover the GBR. It means that we have to passivate the flaps. But for example, in the upper jaw, we have only one flap that we can passivate. Only one flap, the buccal flap. we cannot passivate the palatal back. And so it means that under the technical point of view, a surgical case in the upper jaw with the same dimension, if compared with the lower jaw, the case in the upper jaw is more complicated. The difficulties closing the flap by primary tension, especially in the upper jaw. Because with the buccal flap, in a vertical or horizontal bone defect, the buccal flap has to be moved in the upper jaw, has to be moved coronally for the vertical dimension of the defect, horizontally for the horizontality, and again vertically for the vertical dimension of the defect on the palatal side, because the palatal flap stay there. Stay there. And then we have to take in consideration the risk of septic complication. And for that, we know that the edentulous region showed less risk of septic complication if compared with the intercalate areas. Because the intercalate area, we have to guarantee a double biological seal around the adjacent teeth to the defect. A double. But often, if we try to close perfectly the flaps around one tooth, pulling the flaps around the one tooth, or the flap on the other tooth. So, even if the defect is modest, sometimes is modest, but in the intercalate area is very complicated. For example, these are two different horizontal bone defects. Under the technical point of view, are similar. Modest horizontal bone defect. We have the complete vertical component, we lost the horizontal component, and they need the same procedure, non-resolvable memory, titanium force, fixing of the memory of the lingual sign, preparation of the vascular bed through several perforation. I follow the concept of one-stage approach, grafting material, closing of the bed. But under the technical point of view are similar. Instead, after the biological point of view is completely different. Why? On the side, on the left, the cancellous bones component is rich. The bleeding after the perforation is good. Instead, on the right side, remain a very thin cortical layer inside which we don't have cancellous bone. It means that we have only cortical bone. But we know that the osteogenetic processes come from the periosteum and from the endosteum. Okay? The periosteum is isolated from the barrier. We place the membrane. We have to eliminate the competition with the connective tissue, and so we have to place a barrier that at the same time isolate the connective tissue but also the periosteum. And so we cannot get a good potentiality of the regeneration of the bone from the periosteum. Zero. And so it means that we have only one biological factor that can stimulate the bone regeneration, the endosteum. The endosteum is contained inside the cancellous bone, not cortical bone, cancellous bone. In the periosteum, in the endosteum, inside the cancellous bone, there are the indifferentiated cell stands. Those cells that coming from the cancellous bone to the site to be regenerated can determine the differentiation in osteoblast cells. But they are contained in the cancellous bone. It means that isolating the periosteum and having a poor quantity of cancellous bone, the potentiality of bone regeneration of this case is limited. We managed to get the bone regeneration, but the problem changes the time of bone regeneration. This is the reason why when you analyze a surgical case, you have to respect the protocol, but your mind should be open. It means that you have to analyze the characteristic of the bone. Because in relationship with the characteristic of the bone, probably you have to change the timing. Because probably the time of regeneration is longer on the right than on the left. And this is the evaluation or the analysis of the bone defect that should take in consideration not only the technical point of view, not only the difficulties in the passivation of the flap, the difficulty in the design of the flap, the difficulty in the primary closure of the flap, not only this one, or the difficulty in the shape of the membrane, or the fixing of the membrane, not only technical point of view, but you should associate to the difficulties in technical point of view all difficulties relating the biological point of view. And the relationship of them changes your protocol. Or pay attention, changes your protocol or changes your device. Changes your device. The choice of the device doesn't depend on your competencies, your skills. you're confident. I use absorbable membrane because with absorbable membrane I manage to perform the sausage technique. Do you know the sausage technique? Urban technique. I manage to reconstruct the volume perfectly in three-dimensional way, also without titanium reinforcement, with absorbable membrane. I am a very strong surgeon. But technically, you are not evaluating if the using of the absorbable membrane can be indicated relating to the side that you are regenerating. Why? Why? Because I could regenerate or I could reconstruct a perfect new bone volume with absorbable membrane, but I couldn't regenerate the bone. And you could say, why? If my surgical approach is correct, I managed to stabilize well the membrane, I fixed the membrane on its border, I grafted the material correctly, I closed the flaps for the first indentation, everything was good. Why I cannot regenerate the bone? Why? Because probably you apply the absorbable membrane in a case like this on the right, in which the time of the bone regeneration, considering the biological aspect, is longer the time of barrier effect. Is longer the time of barrier effect. And take in consideration another important thing. When we take the packaging, our membrane, absorbable membrane, we read this is probably here to change the charge. This absorbable membrane is absorbed in 2 months. Okay? On the packaging of your device, absorbable membrane, there is written the time of absorption. But do you think that there is difference between the time of absorption and the time of barrier effect? Did you take in consideration this dedicated difference of evaluation? The time of absorption is a time for which, after that you place your membrane, you need at least 2 months in order that during the second surgery, when you reopen the flap, you don't find the membrane. The membrane is absorbed totally. But the barrier effect is shorter than the time of absorption of the membrane. It means that when we use a membrane on which packaging there is written it is absorbed in 2 months, probably the barrier effect is 1 month. And if I am applying the GBR with the absorbable membrane on the right side, in which we have poor vascularization, thick cortical layer, no cancellous bone, in your opinion, the time of regeneration is long or not? It's long. And so, can we use an absorbable membrane that has a limited time of barrier effect. You have to open your mind. You cannot stabilize a rigid protocol without analyze in a real way the case that you are treating. And so similar defect like this, probably on the left I could use an absorbable memory. Probably. I don't like the absorbable memory. But in any case, probably on the case on the left, we could use an absorbable memory. But the similar case on the right, with the absorbable memory, would be a disaster. I will show case like this, that with the absorbable memory has been a failure. Here we cannot say that they are a severe defect. Severe defect under technical point of view, it's very difficult to shape and stabilize the memory in such big defect. Severe defect relating the possibility to close the flaps over the top of the new region, bigger quantity of tissue that we have to facilitate. Severe defect because we don't have cancellous bone, and we are getting inside of the biological aspect. Severe defect because we have a very thick residual cortical bone. Severe defect because when we try to stimulate the bleeding, we don't have bleeding. Never. We try to perforate, destroy everything, no bleeding. And the bleeding is mandatory for our operation. We are sure that the previous case is a common idea, is inside of these auditoriums that are big defect. But this is a horizontal defect, no vertical, not like previous, horizontal. But is it a severe bone defect or not? Raise your right hand that he think that this kind of defect is not a severe defect. Raise the hand. Raise the hand who think that this defect is severe. Good. Because we have to analyze under technical and biological point of view. Technically, probably this is more simpler than the previous. But biologically is very difficult. No cellulose bone, no vascularization. We have a residual vertical bone, but this bone hasn't any capacity to stimulate the bone regeneration. No vessels, no endosteum, no cancellous bone. You can see that the defect is enormous and a big gap between the thin layer of the residual bone and the device that we use is incredible, is enormous. But the quota of bone that is placed inside of the device hasn't any capacity to stimulate the bone regeneration. This is a very complex case, severe case. And in order to get this type of bone generation, we waited for 12 months. A very long time. A very long time. And during the surgery, we tried to destroy the residual bone in order to promote a minimal bleeding of the residual bone. Using the scraping, using the burn in order to perforate. If we compare the case that I treated with the vertical bone defect, because everybody considers that the vertical bone defect is the more complex case that you could treat in your clinic. This is a vertical bone defect. But if we compare with the previous case, we have a significant difference of difficulties. Here, we have a good bleeding, a big quantity of cancellous bone, and limited difficulty in the building of the castle, the fixing of the membrane, a big quantity of bone from we can receive the osteogenetic processes, because the ridge is large, is wide. So it is true, it is a vertical bone ridge, but is simpler than the previous horizontal bone ridge. So this introduction that I have just done has the intent to share the way to evaluate the defects, not only relating the dimension, but relating the potentialities of bone regeneration. And when you are able to evaluate the characteristic of the defect, not only technically, you can define the strategies of the GPR, defining the correct device, the correct biomaterial, the correct treatment of the surface of the bone, the correct timing. And for that, I prepared a schema in which relating the differences of the bone defect, the size of the bone defect, the size of the bone defect, there is the appropriate surgical procedure, appropriate biomaterial, appropriate devices, appropriate timing. And so, see, for example, that the absorbable membrane cannot be used in black, cannot be used in the vertical bone defect, or be using the horizontal vertical bone defect of the anterior maxilla when you wanted to get good results in aesthetic field. Cannot be used against the vertical bone defect of the posterior lower jaw or horizontal vertical bone defect of the anterior lower jaw. And so, with this schema, you can define the association between the type of defect and the type of barrier. And then, are severe bone defects divided into more or less complicated? For example, look at these two defects. One, the first on the left, is a complex case in a intercalate area, 80 millimeters of verticality. And if we analyze clinically this case, no anatomical structure sensitive to the surgical maneuvers. On the right, we have the classic vertical posterior lower jaw defect. Classic. A big atrophy, lost completely the alveolar bone. The top of the ridge is on the basal bone. We have some anatomical structures that can disturb our surgery. Mental nerve, mandibular nerve, lingual nerve. We treated these cases, restoring perfectly the verticality, the soft tissue profile around the crown, everything being done correctly. But if we should define which is the simple case that we could treat, we have to choose between them. In your opinion, is more simple the number one or the number two? Is more simple. Raise the hands that who think that is more simple the number one. Okay? And who think that is more simple the number two? Okay. The major of the audience thinks that the more simple is the number one. The more simple is the number two. Why? Analyze it together. It's important to change the point of view. Don't focus the attention on the dimension of the defect. So it is more simple because two flaps can be passivated. Two flaps. Bacal lingual. In the intercalated upper jaw defect on one flap. It's very difficult to gain a quantity, ideal quantity of the tissue in order to cover the GBI. If the defect is smaller, but we have only flag. Then, a lean flag without any tooth interposition that helped the surgeon during the flat flaminal closure. Because when you have to treat an intercalate area, the quota of the tissue needed in order to close the barrier is defined, because it's the quota that is present between the teeth. And if you try to pull the flap against one tooth, you don't manage to maintain the closure against the contralateral tooth. It's very difficult to maintain the closure, and not only the closure, but restore the biological seal around the two teeth. And then the anatomical structure don't constitute any limitation. Naturally, you have to respect them. Naturally, you have to know perfectly the surgical procedure in order, for example, to passivate the flap, the back of flap, even if the mental nerve is placed on top of the ridge. We can. Don't worry. Doesn't depend from your skill, but it depends from your knowledge. I understood on my skin this concept. Do you remember this morning at the beginning of my presentation? I started with a 9 failure. I didn't have knowledge. But my skill didn't change during my career. But I changed my knowledge. And so, nerve. I have a nerve on top of the ridge. I cannot passivate that flap in your hands because you don't have knowledge. But today we have at the disposal several techniques that follow it correctly, allows everybody to passivate the flap with the mental nerve on top of the ridge. No worry. A lingual flap. Oh my God, a lingual flap. Why? The lingual flap is inside the lingual nerve, is inside the lingual flap. Don't worry. Don't worry. When we passivate the lingual flap, following the correct surgical procedure, knowledge, we don't have use any blade. We don't have any risk damage the lingual nerve. But you have to know the surgical procedure adequate in order to passivate the lingual flap. Another case, intercalated case with the 8 millimeters of verticality and complete upper jaw. Oh my God, complete upper jaw is very a chaos. It's very challenging. A complete upper jaw. 12 millimeters of verticality. Residual bone almost totally absent. which is the more complicated? Which is the case that's more simpler? Number one or number two? Raise the hands who think that the simpler case is number one. Okay? And number two, only 5, 6, 7 people. 7, 8. These are the results. On the left, the case that you thought that probably was simpler, I had a failure. On the right, this is the result. 12 millimeters verticality, complete nation, 50 millimeters of horizontality, enormous quantity of gold. But why I failed in this case? Because it's very difficult to maintain the not contamination of the site where we have two teeth. Instead, this is more simple and extended effect that can easily be mobilized because we don't have teeth. And when we move the flap coronally, the flap hasn't any limitation in the movement towards the palatal flap. Apparently, it is a big difference. Clinically, it's a big difference, but technically, it's very simple because we don't have teeth. If you should have a tooth with my flap, I cannot move because the tooth blocking me in the movement towards the palatal flap. We said that in the upper jaw we have difficulties because the palatal flap cannot be moved. Okay, but when we have the teeth, but if we don't have teeth, the buccal flap can be moved. It means that the verticality of the buccal flap that we get can be moved also horizontally. Instead, if we have the teeth, the verticality of the flap that we move with the passivation technique cannot be moved horizontally. And we have difficulties in reaching the palatal flap. Okay. Oh my God, severe. Okay, and she said me that we have to have a break, and we continue with this part after the break. Okay? Thank you. Have a good break.